go. It's another edition of Draped in Gold coming at you. 184 episodes, the best dang podcast you never heard about. Like how Tommy Invincible comes out to a crowd of 3. We come out to a crowd of less than that. Hello, everyone. My name is Flobo Boyce, and as always, not alone, being joined by the award-winning real Jack Farmer.
Speaking of three fans, if we get everyone to like, comment, share, subscribe, that 3 one day after enough hard work could be 4.
Parmesan. Your dog gets a shout out first. What's up with that?
Yeah, where's Bree? She's sleeping.
Oh, it's Bree this week. Okay, I don't want
to wake her up because then she's a nightmare. Man, what a time to be alive in podcast world, Flobo.
Tell me about it.
No.
I'm totally kidding. It's
man,
awful.
I'll tell you. So I traveled to Tacoma, Washington last week for my pop's retirement.
Yay.
Happy Papa Farmer.
She worked last week. Emily May subbed in, though. She was great.
She was great. She actually came by. I'll bring her up here in just a second. But then I flew back on Sunday, did commentary for Prestige Sunday night. Had to watch Raw on Monday. Then I did Championship Wrestling yesterday with Emily May, who was there as well. Wow. And then I had to catch up on NXT and AEW today. I've got a lot of wrestling on my plate. I feel like I just put down that very well done steak that Mercedes Moné had to eat today on AEW. I feel like I had that much wrestling.
That was wood. Like, well done steak should be a crime. Should be an absolute crime.
Yeah, that was what was that meme that there was a meme of a steak. It's like, that's not well done. That's congratulations.
Yeah, that was, you know what? That's been ingrained in my brain. Like, I think of that. I go, oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
such a pandemic.
That had to be a bit with how cooked that was, right?
Yeah, I feel like it was 2020, 2019. We just all look at something to laugh at. You know what I'm saying?
No, I just like, cause that steak today, was just so, that was cooked.
I think they're like, we want a steak, and the building was like, listen, we got one kitchen, we got one setting. That's
so funny.
Yeah. Well, even though we are hacking and slashing through this week of wrestling, let's talk about something that's a little bit near and dear to our hearts. We all know that it is a hard job to be a wrestler, and there aren't many places to apply the craft. This is why when the news broke that both Carlito and R-Truth were released from the positions, it was kind of a sadness around the wrestling world. Jack Farmer, you and I both know wrestling is business, but it's always sad to see someone go.
Yeah, especially people like Carlito and R-Truth. Obviously, you see the backlash that's happening on social media now because of it. But to give them their flowers, I think is important right now, especially R-Truth, Carlito as well. But it's crazy how great he was and how beloved he was as a comedic character in pro wrestling, because it's very rare that a comedic character in pro wrestling can last as long as R-Truth has and not be considered corny or stupid or change the channel. Every time he was on, it became must-see TV. And we're talking about doing that for like a decade or two. He's incredible with what he was able to do. And Carlito also filled an incredible role, being funny every time he was on without feeling cheesy or corny or turn the channel. Both those guys, I think, are going to be sorely missed. I don't know what their plans are going forward, but I feel like R-Truth is someone who, of course, everyone, if he goes somewhere else, everyone's fantasy booking probably like an AEW or whatever. But I feel like if he was on the indies, if he went to GCW, I would absolutely go see R-Truth at an indie show. That would be so much fun.
Here's the question, though. Would you have him be like the version WWE with the little Jimmy and the stuff? Or would you want to go like old school Ron Killings or K-Quick throwback?
I'd want to see him as the current one, the current version, the funny one, that in the independent wrestling world. And again, whether it's GCW or Defy or Prestige or Championship Wrestling or any of the, Santino Bros, any of the amazing companies I work at, R-Truth, we'd love to see you there.
Plug.
I think it'd be fun to see him bring some comedy to some of those shows. And I think that he would be just an incredible person. Like I said, he is absolutely somebody that, you say, do you sell tickets? Do you move merch? I would 100% go see an indie show if they said R-Truth was going to be there. And just to see how he interacts with an indie crowd would be fantastic. And an indie crowd would give him so much love and interaction if he was there. I don't know what his plans are. I don't know either their plans are, but yeah, I'd love to see them at an indie show.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, once you did WWE, you're kind of like made in some level for life. Not saying you could be rich, but you are a draw into itself. And when I give a shout out to people hanging out in the chat, we got A plus LA in here. We got Danny Cochran in there making puns. The people going with their steak orders. I'm medium rare myself. And I got to give a shout out to Ricky St. Clair, who was in the booth last week, who says, I'm here, but I need Emily here as much as I need truth in wrestling. I see how it is, man.
Yeah, what is that? Am I chopped liver? Am
Yeah.
I overcooked steak on Mercedes Monet's plate? Is that all we are, Ricky?
That wine was kind of bloody too. It's probably like those the $4 bottle. I'll have the old Behringer.
I do like to see Josie still lurking. Shout out to our lurkers, the folks that are here but never comment in the chats. But if you are here, comment, and again, leave a comment, share, subscribe. But I want to complain a little bit though.
A little bit.
About I'm crabby today, Flo. But I talked about all this
Today?
stuff. I am so tired. I'm crabby. I'm angry. I'm ready to yell at everybody.
You just said the week was great. You were booked. You went places. You were doing wrestling, and now you're crabby. What gives?
That's my secret, Flobo. I'm always crabby.
I hate you.
But all the people I see, I always come back to this because you always see it on X and social media, and everyone talking about pro wrestling companies and like the business, like they care about the business side of pro wrestling. They'll talk about like, well, how much merch does this person sell? Or what are the ticket sales like? This is what I care about. Well, if you care about that, then this is what you care about is people being released. Business is business, and business is cutting costs and raising prices. So if you're a fan of the business side of wrestling, you should that's what we get record ticket sale costs. We get great talent losing their jobs. I'm not vilifying WWE here, by the way. They're a business. This is what they're supposed to do.
Oh, no, I'm not vilifying them either. I'm looking up ticket prices actually as we speak.
I'm vilifying the people who, for some reason, who have nothing to gain from it, are cheering the fact that this is what's happening. They're cheering the fact that a company is profitable for some reason. That, to me, grinds my gears, Flobo, and I don't say that lightly. That it grinds my gears when people do that. And this is just another time when I'm like, guys, quit talking about, oh, this company, they signed a deal to have commercials play during matches or whatever. Get over it.
I mean, look, last week I went into detail about the price of tickets. Worlds Collide get-in prices right now are $43.70, which aren't too bad. Money in the Bank get-in prices are currently $254. But the issue I had last week was those ads on the mat. I hate that. Like, I like how NXT does it. If you have to have ads on the mat, make it wireframe. When you have like orange and blue and like these stickers, I feel like such an old man. They got the little things and the graphics and waving. I can't do that. It's just too visually jarring for me. But
yeah, but that again, if you're someone who is constantly talking about, I like the business side of it, then that you should be excited about that, which I don't get. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Crabby Jack.
Well, I do want to say, I want to add one more thing. It's so funny. I'm going to keep adding stuff to it. This isn't a complaint thing, but it is an interesting thing. It's a weird mind thing. And you and I have talked about this a little bit off air, but it's interesting how there are certain wrestlers who you always consider lifers, and R-Truth was one of them. And I could never imagine WWE releasing this wrestler. And there's a lot of them that they'd never release them. But it's weird how there's that mental roadblock that gets taken down when you say, but I could see him not re-signing somebody. And how suddenly it makes a lot of people who I assumed were absolutely safe suddenly not seem as safe anymore. And that's got to be a scary world to live in if you're at a company like WWE where this is clearly happening.
Yeah, R-Truth was currently the third longest tenured wrestler behind Miz and Natalya and Rey Mysterio as well. So yeah, those people, I mean, Rey Mysterio is pretty much safe from that group, but Natalya or Miz can easily be non-renewed at some point.
I mean, I don't know. At this point, I feel like everyone's fair game, but I don't know.
Yeah. Talking about fair game. I don't know if you watched TNA this week. There was some history made. Was Santino Marella, the DOA of TNA, tag team with Ariana Grace, one of the Jack Farmer picks from a couple years back. First time a father and daughter were in a tag team match. Together, history was made on TNA. It seems to be a common refrain these days about history and that three-letter brand.
Well, go figure. I say someone is a buy now stock, and then later they go on and make history. Of course, that's what happens.
All right.
You know, I mean, when I say someone's a buy now stock, you get your wallet out, and you buy them. But that's really cool that this is the first time it's ever happened. It's one of those things that makes sense when you hear that it's the first time there was a father-daughter tag team, but at the same time, it's a little bit like, wow, it's never happened before. That's kind of crazy. Hopefully, we see a lot more in the future as so many more women's wrestlers are able to compete. And of course, there's going to be a lot more second generation talents that are female wrestlers.
Yeah. I'm with you.
Oh, go ahead.
I'm with you. I thought it would have happened in some indie show. I know WWE doesn't do intergender tag matches all the time, but I thought like some indie show would have done that like years ago, but I was surprised.
Well, as I was going to say, it's a reminder of how fairly new this women's wrestling being the level it's at as far as the number of female wrestlers and the quality of female wrestlers and the opportunities for female wrestlers, how short-lived or how recent it actually is. You know what I mean? You go back 20 years even, and there weren't this many female wrestlers on a roster doing this kind of stuff. And it's not that long ago that there was only like 4 female wrestlers on the roster at any given time. And so I think it's a reminder that this progress that's being made is important and we need to keep it going, if that makes sense.
I want to talk about Will Five Stud. I know you don't really answer Vince questions, but I'm going to do this. He says, Will Five Stud, thanks for checking out. Goes, I remember when everybody wanted Vince out. I do. It was fairly recently. And you got what you wanted. And now, because you don't like what's happening, now you want him back. We never know what we want. Well, that's true. Wrestling fans don't know what they want. But I will say that they're fickle. I do think good or bad or that Vince has been for the industry, I think because he was in charge for so long, there's always a grass is greener thing. So yeah, if Triple H had come out here and reinvent wrestling, but you're like, well, when I was 9 years old, there was a dog food match between Roman Reigns and Baron Corbin or whatever. So it's just, yeah, we are fickle that way.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think anyone wants Vince McMahon back. I mean, I'm sure that, I know the state of the world, so I'm sure there are some people who want him back, but I don't think any sane people want him back.
Yeah, and he's a household name. I think I told you a bunch of times that when I was growing up, we never called it wrestling. It was, I'm watching Vince. Like, that's how we called wrestling. That's when I was a kid in my household. All right, let's get into it, man. Crazy week going on. We got 2 events. I can't call them pay-per-views because one of them's on YouTube, but another premium live event with Money in the Bank and Worlds Collide. We'll preview that in just a minute, but there's 2 talents I want to focus in on. One, the very close friendship between El Grande Americano and Chad Gable. They're doing double duty. I mean, one guy's at one show and one guy's at the other show.
Yeah.
And Stephanie Vaquer, who signed with Raw over the weekend, she too is pulling double duty on both events in Inglewood on Saturday. Talk about the rocket ship. I'm kind of worried that maybe there might be some backlash for La Primera out there.
Backlash for La Primera? No, never happening. She's a superstar. She is a WrestleMania main eventer. And when she was on Raw, she fit in there absolutely perfectly. She is a superstar. She is going to be a household name. As far as the 2 gentlemen you mentioned earlier, Grande Americano and Chad Gable, yeah, they're both great, and I think they'll both do well. But it's funny you talk about
same person. I can't believe it.
Stephanie Vaquer doing 2 shows. Yeah, it's definitely giving me indie wrestler WrestleMania week vibes, where you got to do multiple matches in one day. But I think it'll be interesting as a fan to see how she handles 2 matches, and if maybe the first match she approaches it a little bit more conservatively as opposed to the second match. You know what I mean? Trying to.
I mean, it's a tag team match, player. So I guess you can, but I wonder how someone put you in that position where it's like, we're calling up to Raw. It's a fast call up, but you're going to be on 2 events. You can't say no, right? You can't.
Yeah.
But like, I wonder, going from 0 to 100 real quick must have been scary.
Well, it's interesting. Wheel 5 Stud also in the chat says, I think Stephanie's match is going to be first at Worlds Collide, so they can give her time to prepare for the match later that night. I almost wonder if that's worse because it's like you got to be on early in the morning and then you're kind of in that limbo where you got to go again, but
Yeah, but it's
you're
like an
still
indie
like
show.
ready
She's
to
gonna walk
go.
around with her tights for 6 or 7 hours. I bet she's gonna change. Sitting around the back of a car just waiting for the next show.
No, she's got to stay in that same gear.
It's so sad, man. When
Got
you
to
do that in
stink up
shows.
that Uber when she gets in there.
There was a former WWE wrestler. I'm not sure I should mention his name, but he never washed his gear. And we did shows at Mach 1 Wrestling. Our mutual friend Dave Marquez goes, "Oh, here he goes. I pay him so much money, he can't use a laundromat."
Dave Marquez is a treasure when it comes to his opinion on anything.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm with you. Stephanie Vaquera looks like she hits all the boxes. I mean, she took the NXT detour on her mission. It was really the right move to reestablish her inside the WWE umbrella, and she could really be the torchbearer for Latin superstars. And she's from Chile, which is another market we don't hear too much about in South America. So I think all the boxes are checked, but I worry because, Jey Uso is doing that backlash. We had LA Knight in that backlash spot last year where it was like, I don't really feel him no more. And I worry that people will be like, I don't get the whole idea. Something's happening in the IWC, but they're fickle over there.
Yeah, I think she'll be fine. One, because she's very new. So a lot of people haven't gotten a chance to get sick of her. But two, I think that if anything, it's going to help to get her ingratiated so we can see her and get her up to that star level fast instead of being like, wait, who is this person? And also, frankly, I don't think a lot of people are going to watch both shows.
Yeah. Really? Are you not watching both shows?
Well, I have to. I'm doing this show. I mean, I'm a wrestling nerd. I'll watch them both, but it's, I think the average fan is not going to tune into, to both shows. I think you have a lot to tune into Worlds Collide and not Money in the Bank, and you have probably a lot to tune into just Money in the Bank.
See, I was thinking about this because Worlds Collide is going to be on YouTube, and I like WWE's presentation. I think that's the reason why I look at WWE first before other promotions. I love their packages. I actually even tweeted the rundown of Worlds Collide, changed their song, and I thought, oh man, game changer. But AAA or AAA in Worlds Collide needs to look different to show the world they can do that. Because if you start making these other promotions and they all look like Evolve or Evolve Mexico or Evolve Downtown, like it's not going to be fun to tune into all these shows.
Yeah, it's got to look good, and it's got to have its own personality for sure. I hate comparing the two companies because then it sounds like we're picking sides, but I've always felt that's one of the problems with Collision and Dynamite is it looks like the exact same show. So it makes it hard to feel like one has its own identity. And that's where SmackDown and Raw, right off the bat, as simple as it is, blue and red. It looks different. Yeah. And even NXT, yellow. Like it's very basic. It's just the colors of things, but it still just looks different. And obviously, I hope AAA has more than just different colored ropes. But you're right. It's got to look different, but it can't look like it's just in a small sound studio with drapes up.
Oh yeah, that'd be the big question. The forum is not that, but definitely if there's a weekly show or a monthly show or what have you. But I think that's what hurts Evolve. I understand having a smaller stage because you don't want results to leak, but it does feel like you're behind NXT. Like NXT is like around the corner. You're like in a smaller room going like, yeah, right. And so on. Good time.
Yeah, and it feels like it's maybe a little too small. I think they could make it a little bit, add a few more people in there. To fill it out a little bit because it does feel like they're it feels like a very empty space. Audibly, it sounds very empty in there. It sounds like there's not a lot of people in that room. And obviously you can see there's not a lot of people in that room. It gives me maybe flashbacks to some 2020 era kind of programming, if you know what I mean.
Oh, wow. You mean the original CWC?
It feels like it's a little COVID era,
Yeah.
Which is not good.
Keep your distance. But I will say this is a hot take. I actually like their titles than both of the NXT ones. The new NXT Championship is the only title in WWE's umbrella. I feel it looks cheap. It looks like I can buy it. Like I can afford it. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I don't know. I'm just putting it out there. Hot take. Shout out to Open Family though. Don't hurt me. I'm just saying.
The ruler.
All right, let's talk about NXT real quick because the real big news out of NXT, besides having an interesting alliance change, which we'll get into, is the appearance of the artist formerly known as Mariah May, much like Ricky Saints when he debuted. We don't know the new name of Mariah May, but she made it very, very clear when it came to JC Jane in her rogues gallery of future opponents. Mariah May, the glamour is here to stay in NXT.
I think the story of Mariah May is just incredible. I think, and it shows the value of having multiple companies and viability in the multiple companies. I know a lot of people are, sorry. Yeah. My dog has strong feelings for Mariah May. So she
Cheddar
had to let her know. But I think it shows just how important it is to have multiple options for wrestlers to go through. Because you look at this journey, the odds of Mariah May getting into WWE, obviously, for anybody, tough, especially when you've got now these college athletes coming in and everything else. What would that process have been like? Would she have made it? Would she have had to start on Evolve and then basically start with nothing? It's a very hard process. For her to be able to go to Stardom and build up a name to get to AEW and then do what had a fantastic run in AEW. I think that AEW used her perfectly, and I think that she used AEW perfectly. I think it was a absolutely perfect situation for all parties. Obviously, I think AEW would have liked to keep her, but I think for the fact that they couldn't keep her, they used her perfectly. Now she's going into NXT as a star that's already ready to go. Everyone's excited for her. It's just a perfect storm. And she did everything perfectly. And I think that, and she did everything perfectly. And I think that, I think all companies used each other perfectly. It's just a fantastic reason to be supportive of multiple wrestling brands.
Yeah, the last perfect storm went from AEW to the main roster. Shout out to Jade. Ricky Sinclair says, what's her name besides the glamour? And I do think it's kind of like Ricky saying when Ricky comes out in the first week and goes, you know who I am, you don't know why I'm here. And then they had the contract signing and he signed it Ricky saying. So I think they're doing that same gimmick again to really draw intrigue, to be like, who is that? Which is pretty clever because we know that names will have to be changed, but I think there's a generation of wrestling fans who always felt their intelligence was insulted when someone goes, my name is Steve now. Like, wait a minute. You know what I mean? Last week you were, even when Gunther did it, and Gunther didn't even change promotions. He was like, I'm Gunther. You're like, no, you're not.
Right.
So to have her come out, say I'm the glamour, and the next week be like, okay, so my name is actually this, is kind of smart.
It's I wonder how much of it too is WWE knows that there's going to be a lot of social media conversation around it. And this way, everyone is using the words right now, Mariah May. And they may be asking about what her name's going to be, but now we're all tweeting the same things. It's trending. We're talking about it. If they had come out and said her new name is whatever, Julia Saints or whatever, I don't know, whatever nickname, whatever. I don't know. Everyone gets the name Saints.
Right.
They said her new name is Julia, for instance. That there's already a Julia, but Mavis. If her new name is Mavis,
that's an old school glamour, honey. Mavis. I guess Maybell was taken.
Mavis. If her new name is Mavis, then people are tweeting Mariah May. They're tweeting Mavis. And it's confusion of this first attempt to kind of get her out there. Where now everyone's saying the same thing. We're all having the same conversations. And now when they do reveal it, we're all already on the same page.
Yeah. Does your dog Pepper Jack like wrestling? When you have it on, does she watch or she kind of walks away?
She's never sitting still unless she's asleep. So that's why when she was awake, I didn't want to wake her up because she's a demon.
That's awful. It's like she's so cute, but leave her alone.
I love her to death, but don't get in her way.
That's how my parents feel about me. I hear you. So over under, do you think Mariah May or whatever her name's going to be is going to hold title, some gold in NXT by the end of the year?
It's always tricky with NXT because I could see her getting called up very quickly. I hope she does get NXT championship gold. I would love for her to, because this is a whole other thing I have a problem with NXT right now, is that the turnover rate is way too big right now. And it doesn't feel like there is a solid roster in NXT because people keep coming and going, and there's TNA stars and now AAA stars, and it's hard to know who's your core group. And I would love for her to be a part of the new core group of NXT so that we can go know who we're tuning in to see week in and week out.
I gotta give it to you. I feel like there's Oba, there is Sol Ruka, and then everyone kind of feels like they're transients. Even Ethan Page. And Ethan Page has been there like what, a year now? It's just been like, you're leaving soon. You're totally getting out of here.
Yeah, I think because he's always had, I think he feels main roster ready, but also because he was thrown into the top of the pile right at the get-go, it feels like, it always felt like he was a short timer.
Yeah. Goodfella 1422 says Chick feels like a fixture. He would have been if he hadn't gone to TNA and won their title. Now it feels like he's doing both shows. Like this is a side quest, as the kids say. You know what I mean? And Rip wrestling in the pocket. Oh hell no! They fired me on vacation. No, I gotta say this. No, because I used to work as an auctioneer and gala host, and I had this. It was Thursday nights. I went to Atlanta. I went to Fort Lauderdale to do things for my school, and I had it in my contract that I had to fly back on Friday mornings at 8 o'clock from the East Coast to get back in time for Wrestling Inc. And these dudes sending me an email the morning of like, yeah, we ain't doing the shows no more. I'm like, okay, well, hope you tell people. They didn't. Now they always ask me like, where's Wrestling Inc? I don't know.
Yeah, it was.
I'm crabby.
It was a group email.
And they closed down the Slack. They stopped our email. We didn't get active. Like, shut it down. They absolutely shut it down.
They shut it down. Group email, shut it down, and then said nothing. And then I put a comment on the YouTube video, and it got taken down.
They're like, oh no, they know too much. The whole website just does crap posts. No offense to the writing team. And the only good thing was a podcast. And you didn't give us a final episode.
ChatGPT would be offended if it heard you.
I just want a final episode, man. I've been fired before too many times, but give me a final episode. That's all I wanted.
Yeah, we absolutely have been.
Oh man, I am totally crabby.
We're like that. We're like that meme of first time.
Yeah, exactly. Like, yep. We probably canceled ourselves, the way it's going.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this, man. I'm going off the rails here. We actually have a rundown for the show because we're professionals, but I want to ask you. You said you watched a lot of wrestling this week, but what was your favorite moment on all the shows? The ones you watched, something that would stick out for you?
My favorite moment. It was one of the shows that I got to work on, and I'm torn between the two, but I feel like doing the ring announcing at Championship Wrestling this week at United Wrestling Network. I wear a lot of hats over at United Wrestling Network. Sometimes I do the backstage interviews, sometimes I do commentary, sometimes I do ring announce. I'm kind of a utility guy over there, I guess. But I got to do a big crowd warm up and hype them up at the beginning, and the crowd got super loud for it. It was super fun. And it was just a great crowd overall. And when you have a really great crowd and you get to do stuff like the ring announcing, you get to feel the energy. It was super fun. So that was a great time to be there.
The man's a legend. Well, because the reason why I ask you this is that there are some rumblings that maybe wrestling is in a cool down period. I disagree. But a lot of hot things were happening around. Look at on the Raw side of things, that whole Seth Rollins faction, which kind of still needs a different name or a name, that's been dominated social media thing. So I was wondering if it kind of permeated for you, the growth of Paul Heyman and Seth Rollins and Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker. I don't know your thoughts on that so far.
We have the joke that I feel like WWE is copying AEW a lot.
Yeah,
I like to send that to you all the time, and you begrudgingly accept my texts when I say that.
I roll my eyes really hard.
But this group reminds me of AEW a lot, and it's because it's the classic. I love the pieces. Every single person in it, I'm a huge fan of. I love Paul Heyman. I've always said he's the best on the mic ever to do it. I've always said that Seth Rollins is probably my favorite wrestler of the past 15 years. Braun Breaker, when he first showed up at 2.0, I was like, this guy's a superstar. And Bronson Reed, I'm a big fan of Bronson Reed. His entrance music is in my workout playlist. Metro Boomin, if you change it, you better make it good.
Wait a minute. Braun has like 4 theme songs as he got called up. Which one? The one he has now?
Bronson Reed, yeah. War Ready.
Okay. Oh, Bronson Reed. Sorry, I thought about Braun Breaker. I was like,
no.
Braun Breaker changes like every week.
No, not Braun Breaker. No, Braun Breaker is not in my playlist.
I was about to say. I was about to judge you.
But I still don't really understand why they're together, like what their purpose is.
Does it matter? Because you love
Yeah.
Metaphor, and they never explain that. They never explain that.
If you didn't get Metaphor, I'm not going to spend
Oh,
all day
come on,
explaining it
shut
to you.
up. That made no sense. Why
But
did the Wemtar go to the hood? I just made answers.
if you had ever been to the moon, you would understand what
I guess I
Metaphor is
would.
all about.
This my terrestrial ass is not going.
But I don't understand. I get why Seth Rollins likes this. I get why it works for him, but I don't understand what Braun Breaker gets out of it. I don't understand what Bronson Reed gets out of it.
Paul Heyman.
But there are also guys who would say, both those guys are guys that would say, I'm just going to knock out Seth Rollins and take his spot. Neither of those guys will be your muscle guys. Right. It looks good on camera. They're great. I get it. It looks good on camera. I just don't understand what their role is. Like the bloodline was great because it made sense. We're a family and we want our family to be dominant, and Roman Reigns in a very gaslighting way was, I'm trying to take care of you all, so you need to serve me so I can help you.
Really cool moments.
It was like that all made sense. Great. NWO made sense. We're trying to take over the company. I get it. It's making sense. This just feels like these are a bunch of great pieces. Let's put them together. It's very Don Callis family.
Oh, how dare you!
Like,
how dare you compare anything to that filth, Don Callis?
Like, it's just everyone is just like Don Callis. I love Kyle Fletcher. I think Takeshita's awesome. I don't understand why they're all friends. I don't know why they're hanging out with Lance Archer.
But I'm a murder hawk. Okay, so
I'm a murder hawk. Like, tell me Kyle Fletcher and Lance Archer hang out on the weekends.
Yeah, but they have the same hairdresser. Listen, okay, fine.
I don't think they do.
Fine. Look, I'm with you to a point, right?
I actually want to see Kyle Fletcher doing the braids and
right with the little the hair dryer thing.
Yeah,
I like the group together. But to the point of, I think Ricky Sinclair had this, we need a dominant tag team. But you and I were talking about this about SmackDown side. I know this is a raw topic, but there really isn't a tag team that looks like head and shoulders above anyone else. The Street Profits have the gold, but on SmackDown, there really isn't a challenger that looks like a main event. And on the other side, on the Raw side, the War Raiders on paper look like they should be the strongest, but they don't have, as the kids say, the aura. So why not have Braun and Bronson be a tag team to be a force?
Because the problem with the tag team division isn't that they don't have the teams. They have great teams. They just, right now, there's just something not clicking with them. Like we talked about the SmackDown tag team division. They have great tag teams and they're getting time and they're having great matches, but we need something to bring out the reason for me to care about these matches, whether it be from DIY or the Motor City Machine Guns or now the Wyatt Six. You need a team to step up. You need someone to be the team to help elevate that so that we all care about it again.
By the way, this is totally a random thing, but if I had the pen, I would put the Motor City Machine Guns at Worlds Collide. That right there would be a perfect sign for them. But continue.
I actually, now that you say that, I agree. I think that's the kind of team you want there in a Worlds Collide situation. Mm-hmm. But I think a team needs to step up. And when I look at the teams, I think the team that needs to step up and the team that needs to help elevate that division and get it to a point where we all really care about these matches. Because again, we have the teams and we have the great matches. We just had one of the best, triple threat ladder matches ever recently. Again, very AEW, these fantastic matches, but we got to find a way to care about why these people in these matches. I put the responsibility squarely on the champions, and that's the Street Profits. I think it's up to the Street Profits. One, you're the champions. It's your job to elevate that division. It's your job to make it important. You look at Roman Reigns. He elevated that world championship. You look at Gunther. He elevated the world championship. Gunther wasn't like, well, what can the challengers do to make my reign feel important, right?
Yeah.
I think it's up to the Street Profits, not just because they're the champions, but also they're kind of the senior tag team there. They're the team that's been there for a while. They're also a team that has the charisma and they have the talent. They need to be the ones that take charge and lead to make that division something we all care about.
Well, Jack, who do you care about in wrestling?
I care about you, Flobo.
Oh, stop. You can't butter me up. That's how this works. I rescind my question. Okay, well, let's get to a little bit of a preview here.
Who's your team? Who's your tag team?
I don't like tag team wrestling, not in the traditional sense. I would say I like tag team wrestling as an art form, but I think especially in the WWE mold of things, it's very easy to see the seams. And what I mean by that is you can have a good suit design, but if I could look up and see where the thing is stitched, it's something I would appreciate as much. So it comes on. I think it's cool. 6-man tag betrayal matches are cool, but it wasn't like in the early 2000s where I had a team like the Dudley Boys, or it wasn't like in the 2010s where I had a team like the Bar. Now it's kind of like, yeah, all right, it's fine.
Well, I think that's exactly the point. I think that's what we're saying is that.
No, but it's cool when I say it.
Yeah, but I mean I do think that's the point, because we do have these teams that, again, that I think are fantastic. I think New Day is doing. Ricky Sinclair says they're boring. They got boring. I'd agree. I think this is the best the New Day has been in a very long time in this role. This is kind of the opposite. I think the New Day, they need the Raw tag team division to step up and to give them something to run from as the bad guys and to be fearful of as the bad guys. I think it's a little too paint by numbers in the sense that we're bad guys and the good guys are going to win a match to qualify for a title shot. Okay, now we'll have our match. You know, you need a little bit of that chase. You need a little bit of that flirting, you know? Take him to dinner first.
What? That's an all ages show, Jack. But you're right. It is funny because we're giving wrestling shows more time, but it feels like divisions are not getting developed anymore. It's just kind of like it's more time.
Yeah.
But I'm not hating though. Did you want to get into this weekend's previews, or you have something else to talk about before we get into that kind of stuff? Cool.
Let's preview.
All right.
You didn't even wait for my answer. You said cool before I was finished.
I like the cool. I like the fact you want to move things on. I know you're a busy man. I'm a busy man too. I got a whole evening planned of doing self-care, my friend. I got the good chocolates. I got some bread. I want to eat some nice little bread. That's a European. Flew in from Germany. It's great. It's awesome. All right.
Bread and chocolate.
Yeah.
What a great diet.
Yeah, exactly. It's all carbs, baby. Nothing wrong with sugar. Don't listen to any doctors, man.
Yeah.
That's big health weighing you down, man. Sugar and carbs.
I think the medical industry is just backed by Big Apple.
Keep us away. So as we get to this weekend here in Los Angeles, California, or right outside in the city of Inglewood, which is officially known as the City of Champions. I didn't know that. Worlds Collide and Money in the Bank comes to you live about a half mile apart. Worlds Collide at the Kia Forum, Money in the Bank at Intuit Dome, which is really this high-tech place where you have to have an app to even walk in that building. But let's talk about Worlds Collide first, because up until last night, I said this thing is thrown together, Worlds Collide. And I know you're going to be like, well, Flobo, is that what you wanted? You've been clamoring for a pay-per-view where things are thrown together. Why aren't you happy now,
this
bro?
is literally what you've
It's literally what I asked for. But it does feel like the multiple man matches could, like, I feel like there's no straight up tag team match on the men's side. There are not some really good one-on-ones. Like, I really feel like there's an opportunity to go deeper into that. But hey, we get what we get. So let's talk about the card so far right now. 6-man tag is actually listed first on Wikipedia, so we'll go in Wikipedia order. It's Legado del Fantasma, which I had to remember of the switch about 2 years ago. That's Santos Escobar, Angel Humberto, the real one, against El Hijo de Dr. Wagner Jr., Pagano, and Psycho Clown in a 6-man tag.
I want to say just overall, I'm very fascinated by this because this does feel, again, we always talk about, I always joke about copying it. This feels very Forbidden Door. It's a lot of wrestlers that I think the fan base of WWE doesn't know, without a whole lot of build into who these are and what's going to happen here. And it's just kind of great matches. So I'm interested to see how it goes, both in how WWE approaches it and how it looks and how it comes across, and also how people feel about it after it's done, because obviously there were strong feelings on the other side. I want to see how they feel about this one and how different it is and how WWE goes about getting that. That's the most interesting part of this for me.
Yeah.
In this match, I'm going with Legado del Fantasma. I'm always going to be team Legado.
Yeah, I'm team Legatos. That's a team
Legato.
cut. I just hit that. Larry. Oh man, well done, well done. I'm always with Team Santos. I'm not sure if you're doing 2 or 3 falls. It doesn't seem that way for this matchup, but yeah, you got to go with Santos Escobar. And I do think they're going to have to carry this because haven't really seen in the WWE packages of these 3 people, of these 3 men together. So I'm not really sure what their alliances is, or it doesn't really matter, or is Triple A just doing the whole sport thing? I'm not sure.
Real quick too, I'm very curious too to see for people who've watched a lot of like Lucha Libre, they're a little fast and loose with the rules in a lot of this stuff. And WWE is the opposite. They're very strict with the rules. And that's one of the reasons Jimmy Corderas would pull his hair out whenever he watched certain non-wrestling WWE programming. I'm curious to see how Worlds Collide plays out. If they say, hey, AAA, you do your thing, whatever, or if there's a lot of like, listen, guys, you got to make tags, you got to get back it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm very curious to see how that plays out.
I mean, even though NXT is involved, you have to treat this as AAA at playing at home. You have to. If it's a neutral site, if it's like NXT flavor, the whole thing is lost. Because that's the biggest fear of WWE buying something like AAA and just totally instantly changing it. They have half the roster, and we'll get to the next matchup because the AAA Mega Championship was won last weekend because the previous holder wasn't signed to the company after the acquisition. So you got to keep it looking like it is as separate as possible. Maybe do things over time, or else it will blow up in your faces.
Yeah.
But yeah, so El Hijo de Vikingo won the AAA Mega Championship somehow. is defending it against Chad Gable. Chad Gable gets the title shot on Saturday.
I'm always Team America, baby. Let's go, Chad Gable. Bring the championship home to America.
There is no way. Are you kidding me? Yeah, that'd be the worst thing. El Hijo de Vikingo's like getting the crowd shots. Yeah, new champ. Oh,
no, Vikingo's gonna win, and he's gonna win a lot of fans too in the process.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I saw him at Rebellion. It was amazing. The NXT North American Championship will be on the line as Ethan Page, who newly won that championship, defeating Ricky Saints, will take on Javon Evans, Ray Phoenix, and Triple A's Laredo Kid.
I think Ethan Page retains here. I think he's gonna hold that title for a long time.
Yeah, the forever champ. Like Sinclair says, I would never see Makika win the title. At least they did kind of spoil it last week on Raw, because even I was like, wait, it's a title shot? I looked online like, oh yeah, oops. Neither man has a title. I'm like, there you go.
Yeah.
The current champion isn't signed by the company, you think. I'm just glad it was. I can't believe I'm saying this so many times in my lifetime, but I'm just glad there was a peaceful transition of power. So
you never know.
You never know. Dalise and Chick Tormentor are teaming up to take on Lola Vice and Stephanie Vaquer. I love this backstage at NXT when Stephanie Vaquer was champion. She had to go look for a tag team partner. Lola Vice volunteered. Question for you, though. Do you think their alliance of Lola and Stephanie Vaquer maintains throughout the matchup on Saturday?
No, not at all. I do not think it's gonna last. No. They're going to lose spectacularly, and I think they're going to not be friends after it's done. I think we're going to get Vaquer and Vice down the road.
Sidebar, I don't know much about Mexican wrestling, I'll be honest with you, but I was a kid and I didn't have cable. So every Saturday you try to like find other channels to watch.
Yeah.
I remember watching Dalise when I was a kid, and she's like still going. Like, dang, she's a living legend, man. That's what's up.
She is. It's kind of cool that people get to see her, but
yeah. That's what I want to be. I want to be like the you still got it, not the please go away.
Right. The one that always got me with that, especially, I mean, she's done now, but Meiko Satomura, for some reason, it's like, man, what a legend.
Yeah. We make fun of Jack being timeless, but she actually is timeless because her look, it's very classic.
Yeah.
Latino World Order, which is the group I always confuse Legado del Fantasma for these days. That's Cruz del Toro and I guess it's a tag team match. No, sorry, this is all wrong. Cruz del Toro and Joaquin Wilde and Dragon Lee will team up and take on Lince Dorado. Damn it, sorry about that. Dragon Lee, Cruz del Toro, and Lince Dorado will take on Octagon Jr., Aerostar, and Mr. Iguana. There you go. No Joaquin Wilde's going to be on the match on Saturday. It's a 6-man tag as well.
I'm going with the LWO. I think that Dragon Lee has the best entrance music of all them. That I think. I don't really know the AAA guys, but have him walking through the flames.
His theme song is way better than his aura. That's right. I said it.
Like I think that his entrance music. That's another workout playlist song.
So this is something that, again,
have him rowing through the flames.
You got the row machine. Do you feel stronger when you do that to Dragon Lee's music?
Oh, hell yeah.
Come on. I didn't know. I know what the rowing jams are. I'm sorry. To talk about, I mean, it's kind of a moot point now, but imagine if Mr. Iguana was in a match with R-Truth one-on-one. Like, that to me is something Worlds Collide should be about. Like, that is awesome.
That would be so much fun to see. Especially, I love that they did show who they were, by the way, during NXT. You got to see Mr. Iguana, and he has the little iguana puppet.
It does look like a DC villain, but I will say I did look at some clips online. Man's got chops. He does got chops. I can't knock it. But having that kind of match with like a Santino or like R-Truth is like, hey, you may know nothing about the expressiveness of AAA. I mean, but you're getting that,
Yeah. By the way, Aerostar, another Lucha Underground guy who has now made it to the big screen in North America.
Do you think he's going to fly away like he did in Lucha Underground? Like,
I hope so. Yeah, that's how he ended his run there. He's like, I have to go now.
My planet needs me.
Lucha Underground was just a fantastic piece of art.
It was wild. I'm not sure if you're a big fan of them, but if you were a betting man, let me rephrase it. If you were a betting man, would you bet that Exoticos will still be a division AAA? Or do you think that kind of goes away of the old school storytelling in Lucha Libre?
I don't know.
With the acquisition.
That's a good question. I guess it's hard to say because I don't know how hands-on WWE is going to be at this point. As some companies, they merge with someone and they kind of just let it run and do it itself and collect the paycheck. If they get really hands-on, I think they're gone.
Yeah, it's a shame. Like it's. I understand sometimes things don't translate the way that we would have perceived an art form that has persisted for so long, but I think it's something that's uniquely that region and it should totally persist in some form, whatever that may be.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. That's why with the whole merger thing, I think that's the big question: is how much of it will. The fear is that the WWE-ization of AAA is scary because you don't want to just become Spanish-speaking WWE. Mm-hmm. You want it to still be what it is,
right?
But at the same time, then what's the point of the merger? I don't know. We'll see.
Right.
But I don't know. It's very interesting.
Let me ask you a question, and we'll get to Money in Bank because there's only 4 matches, so we're fine. But when WWE, or was it F then, when they bought WCW?
Yeah.
And there was talk of having it be a separate promotion, and they changed the logo and they had the different ref uniforms. Did a part of your soul die when you saw that?
A little bit. The new logo I actually liked more than the old logo, so it was actually kind of like, okay, cool. Because remember they had they did the weird logo for a while. That was like it's supposed to be like a star. I think.
Oh yeah, like the wedgie W's and the giant C.
Yeah, Eric Bischoff said it looked like a cat butt, and now I can't unsee it.
Oh
yeah. So I didn't like that logo. So so that part of me was like, okay, that's cool. It looks different because I didn't like that one. I love the original one, but
purple and yellow.
Yeah, it was just the big block letters. I thought that looked cool.
Nerd.
Well, with the what do they call it? The steel little rivet things on the side.
The rivets, yeah.
I guess that was the one I loved. But but it was a little bit like, oh, this isn't mine. But I guess kind of by that point though, like it was already dead to me because once it got bought, it was like, oh, okay, it's done.
Ricky Sinclair says, actually, I wanted ECW back and I was let down. No rebrand AO. You know what? I actually liked the ECW because I'm a big C show mark. I miss C shows. Like I watch Evolve or Level Up because it's just a C show. So I enjoyed it. And Zack Ryder, baby. Woo, woo, woo. You know it.
Well, I think you can like WWECW But also be bummed it's not the ECW you remember.
No, the vampire made it better. The zombie made it better. No, I'm with you. That's kind of the sad part of getting older. All right, let's talk about Money in the Bank. This one's coming down at the Intuit Dome. That's at 3:30 local time, 6:30 Eastern. These looks like WWE still experimenting with the earlier start times. We're seeing a lot more start at the 6 o'clock hour. 4 matches, 2 of them in the Money in the Bank ladder match. I hope another one gets announced, or else this might be the worst bang for your buck pay-per-view I've seen in a while. But let's talk about that Women's Intercontinental Championship. I, for one, am over it, but people are saying it may be a time for Lyra Valkyria to hit that next step, because Becky Lynch has one more opportunity. If Becky Lynch wins the IC Championship, she is, again, Becky one belt, but if she loses, she can never challenge again that Lyra has a title. So what do you got?
I'm going with Becky Lynch here, which breaks my heart because I'm a huge Lyra Valkyria fan, but I think when you've got Becky Lynch in a situation like this, she doesn't take L's easy. And so I think this is hers to win.
Dan, you think the people will riot in LA or they would cheer it?
I don't know. I know that she's kind of coming off as a jerk, but people love Becky Lynch. It always drives me nuts. I feel like they always want, I don't know who wants it, but she always likes to ruffle feathers, but people like her. Just let people like her. I don't know. It drives me nuts. Just
Becky needs to lose. I feel Lyra Valkyria was given a chance. I think people like her enough. But if Lyra loses that championship Saturday, there's going to be no one asking for a rematch, and that's a problem.
I think it's a problem too, and I agree with you. And I hate that that's the case. But if I was to bet money, I'm betting Becky Lynch gets the win.
Interesting. Clean or shenanigans?
Shenanigans. I don't think. I think she'll do something nefarious to get the win.
Well, speaking of things that are nefarious, the WWE Championship and the World Heavyweight title will not be on the line, because the people who hold those championships are going to be in a tag team match. Playa, okay, fine. Logan Paul, John Cena together, fine. Against Jey Uso and Cody Rhodes. What do you got? Question? What? Who?
I think John Cena and Logan Paul get the win.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
You want Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso to lose to Logan Paul and John Cena?
Yeah, because I think that Jey Uso is gonna beat Logan Paul.
That's not happening.
And so I think that Logan Paul gets the one up here, and I think that that's what we get going forward when we have the
miserable. Let's talk about his Money in the Bank ladder matches, man. First, with the women's side, we have Alexa Bliss, Roxanne Perez, Rhea Ripley, Juliet, Naomi, and Stephanie Vaquer. One opportunity to get that Money in the Bank briefcase. Who walks away with it? Who do you want, and who do you think is going to win?
Who are the participants again?
Alexa Bliss, Roxanne Perez, Rhea Ripley, Julia, Naomi, and Stephanie Vaquer.
I think this is actually kind of tough.
No, it isn't.
Who do you think?
It has to be Alexa Bliss.
You think so?
Yeah. If Roxanne Perez was called up earlier, I would say her. But typically, heels win that briefcase because you don't want him to win. So more heels than faces. And so the one that's kind of back, we know the brand name, isn't too new, hasn't really been used so much in the main event scene, would be Alexa Bliss. So that's mine.
So who are the champions that she'd cash in on? Tiffany Stratton. She'd be going after Tiffany Stratton, right?
Yeah, because she's a SmackDown talent. Correct.
So I don't know. I can't envision that, though.
Why not? I mean, with the briefcase, you can go for technically anybody now. And now there's a Women United States champion and there's an NXT champion as well.
I don't know. I mean, you make a good point. It just doesn't make sense to me. Naomi, I'm Ricky Sinclair. Naomi fits. I think I could see Naomi as the money because she's crazy.
Well, I think Tiffany was a rookie when she won, but Tiffany was a heel and she cashed in on a heel champion and Nia Jax, and we all cheered her.
I could actually see Roxanne getting it because I think that adds a little bit more drama and spice to what she's doing with the Judgment Day. But I think Naomi.
I think that Jade comes out and neutralizes her personally. But that's just me. Alexa's my pick, y'all.
Why is she? Why would she? Like, she's already beat Naomi. I don't understand why she's still like. Isn't that done? It's over.
It's not done. Have you not been watching SmackDown? Them and Bianca, they're still going at it.
I do. I just don't get it. She got her. She beat her. She beat her up. What more are you looking for?
Taking away every opportunity, like how you took away her tag team championships.
Nah.
It's an excellent opinion. Nah.
Nah.
And finally, the men are going to have their chance at the Money in the Bank briefcase. It's going to be flying bodies everywhere. Chad Gable's in this match, in his only match of the day, but he's going to be El Grande Americano. He's going to be in his match, but it's his only match of the day. And El Grande Americano will have to contend with Andrade, Seth Rollins, Penta, LA Knight, and Solo Sikoa.
I'm going LA Knight.
LA Knight with the briefcase.
I think LA Knight with the briefcase. I can't see Penta getting it. I can't see Andrade getting it. I can't see El Grande Americano getting it. I can't see. I mean, then it comes down to Seth and Solo. I could see Solo, but I can't see him trying to cash in on John Cena. So that doesn't make sense. I feel like Seth Rollins. I got a feeling someone's going to make a return to stop Seth Rollins. So I don't think Seth Rollins is going to get it. And that just leaves me with LA Knight, who I could see having it. I could see him trying to use it to cash in on John Cena and being a like a bad blood type show.
Yeah, I like LA Knight with the title. I think it makes sense having him do it. Some could argue it's about a year too late. But if this was the old school WWE, my pick would be Solo Sikoa. This is the hey, thank you for being in a thankless role for a year. Here's your bone. I'm going to pick Solo Sikoa if I was a betting man. But LA Knight with the briefcase would be kind of fun. Not as fun as Brock Lesnar with the Brock Party, but it's pretty up there.
Yeah, I think Solo Sikoa does make sense. He's probably my number 2 pick in this one. I got a feeling the briefcase will be used to serve up LA Knight as a challenger to Cena, though, more so than it being a real story catalyst.
The megastar. Yeah.
I mean, look, he was hot. He's still hot. He still gets great reactions. I agree with you. They should have pulled the trigger on him a long time ago. But I think this is them saying, okay, we're going to pull the trigger on you now.
I hope that's the case. Well, Money in the Bank comes to you live on the Peacock. On Peacock, and it's not going to be on YouTube, unlike Worlds Collide. So if you're at home, buckle in. You're going to have yourself a fantastic day of just wrestling and getting nothing done. I'm going to be at Money in the Bank. I'm not going to be at Worlds Collide because that'd be a long day for me. Are you going to any of the shows, Jack?
I might make it to my Worlds Collide. I don't think I'm going to make it to Money in the Bank, but I might do Worlds Collide. Still TBD.
$40 tickets. Get in at 10 a.m. Out by 2. Ideal.
I am famously making a judgment call 24 hours before the show kind of guy.
Yeah, me too. If WrestleMania comes back to Vegas, I probably will just come in for NXT and deliver. Just peace out.
Yeah.
Well, it's going to be a fun time. My man, Jack Farmer, I know you're doing a lot of things, but now's the fun part. I get to ask you, hey, if I want to book you or connect with you or hang out with you, how to go about doing that. And it'll be like, you can't hang out with me. I'm just assuming if I was somebody who could.
Yeah, well, the best thing to do is follow me at Real Jack Farmer across all social media. I always keep you up to date on what's going on and where you can find me.
No, you don't. We'll be back next week to break down the results. Of course, the second half of Fyter Fest and that summer show. What's called Summer Blockbuster. Yeah, and TNA too. TNA's heating up, man. You got to get on that TNA train. A lot of fun on that show. And evolve every once in a while. But you can follow me over at that Blue Sky at Flobo and Boyce or on that X at Flobito. And I have a sports blog. Check it out. Subscribe. It's on Substack, but it's called Just a Sandwich over at justasandwich.com. I got a plane to catch to complain about Wrestling Inc. being canceled one more time. Jack, until next time, man, please say the words.
Do your best and be yourself.